Bill Searcey, I hope you're doing well, man. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa. How you feeling, my friend?
Man, I'm doing awesome. I feel great, and as usual, happy to be with you guys talking about Alabama football and other things.
No doubt, no doubt. Listen, Bill, I just want you to give us an update, man. I have a lot of people that ask me because of our friendship. You're a friend of our program. Give us an update. Give us the latest on Bill Searcey.
Sure. So several weeks ago, I was given a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, and we started chemotherapy treatments. I had my first treatment last week and did very well, and I have my second treatment coming up next Tuesday, and I anticipate the same outcome, and we'll have 6 total treatments, which will take me up through Christmas, and then we will have surgery to remove the cancer, probably in January sometime, and then following that will probably be either chemotherapy or some sort of radiation to finish off the regimen. And then, as I told your guy earlier, that this time next year we will be talking about cancer-free Bill Searcey on Tennessee Week.
No doubt. And
that's what's going on with me, Brian. But look, I feel good, and I've been in battles before. I kind of like them, so we'll get through this one. God will get us through this one, and then we'll be able to talk about His miracle. How about that?
Well, no doubt. And Bill, you, as I've told you and I've encouraged you, you've been through some valleys, but you've been through some mountaintops as well. And this is somehow God's going to get the glory out of this, my friend. You got a lot of people in Tuscaloosa, a lot of prayer warriors that are praying for you, my friend. And I appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you guys and all your prayers.
Bill, let me get into the conversation here. I want to start with Alabama, Tennessee. We've been sharing memories today with different callers, just helping us understand this Tennessee rivalry. You never lost to Tennessee, so all of them is probably your favorite. But is there one that stands above the rest?
Well, and y'all, you have to forgive me because of my advanced age. The years of which we played. I know what years I played, but I'm saying games get confused on the years. But there was one year, Ryan, and I swear I want to say it was my junior year because we played in Legion Field, where we were maybe losing to Tennessee at halftime, and went into the locker room thinking, and I may have my dates confused, so bear with me, but thinking that we were going to get really chewed out. And it was one of those odd times when Coach Bryant walked in and we were losing, and he walked in and he was clapping his hands together and he had that rolled up paper, you know. And he said, "All right, boys, we got them right where we want them." And
that's the famous quote. That's a famous quote.
Yeah, and so we all looked at each other and said, "Okay, well, we always believed him." So, and if I'm correct, ended up winning a game. And then my senior year in 1980 in Knoxville, Steve Mott was our center, and I was playing right guard that day, and it was a TV game on ABC, and it was a big game, and they had a nose guard named Jimmy Noonan, and it seemed like he played at Tennessee for a very long time. He's a really good player, and every time he'd make a tackle, like 100 and something thousand people would scream. They'd say Noonan, all together. So it was pretty impressive. Well, the week before the game, Steve and I were practicing, and he was a younger guy than me, and maybe a little bit nervous about the game and who he was playing against. And so we came out for the first series and walked up to the line. And Noonan was on his knee, and he was like drooling. He just couldn't wait to hit our center. And so as we were getting down our stance, I said, "Hey, Noonan." And he looked at me, and then Mott looked at me because he was playing right over Steve. And I said, I won't repeat what I said. I said something probably about his family or something not very nice to get him all fired up. And then he teed off on Mott and tore Mott's head off the first play. And but running back to the huddle, he said, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "You were nervous, weren't you?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you nervous now?" He said, "No." So that's how we started the game and won. And I think actually Steve may have gotten a lineman of the game or something for that. So
that was your senior season, 1980?
Correct.
No, that was 27-0 is what I've got here. 27-0 beat down of those Volunteers.
Yeah, that was our senior year, and that was us playing in Knoxville. Yep.
Wow. So is it sweeter? Was it sweeter to you to beat them in Neyland Stadium, or was it better to win at home? I mean, because you got a lot of wins against those guys.
Yeah, I think it was better. I think it's always better when you beat your opponent at their house, but especially Neyland Stadium, because back in those days, it was a big stadium back then, so it was fun going in there because they hated us so much, and they took so much out, throwing bottles at us and all that stuff, and then to walk out of there with the huge win like that was always fun, man.
So we're talking to Bill Searcey. Never lost to Tennessee, never lost to Auburn, and I've asked you this question probably 100 times in the past, but it's Tennessee week, and I'll repeat it. What do you think created that dislike that Coach Bryant always felt that this game, in some ways, I've heard people say it might have been even more important to him than Auburn was?
Well, by the time I got here, of course, I had not really been much of an Alabama historian until I became a player. And so when I was here, Ryan, you remember Coach Ken Donahue. And,
sure.
Coach Donahue had played at Tennessee. And so he was such a passionate guy about football and about winning that even though he was a Tennessee grad, his biggest week of practice every year when I was a player was Tennessee, because that was his alumni. He was an alumni. And as far as Coach Bryant's dislike, I really don't know the answer to that, but I always equated it back to Coach Donahue because he always seemed to be the most animated and excited about Tennessee week. I mean, he'd get the scout team fired up and put a piece of tape, a T on their helmet, and a T on their jersey, and it's a crazy week, and it's been a crazy week. And I was surprised too as a newcomer here when I saw how serious Tennessee week was, even more so maybe than Auburn. So it's a lot of history, bad and good, and that's what makes it so special.
Would Coach Bryant partake in the cigar tradition?
Well, he smoked cigarettes anyway, so he always smoked.
Okay, so but I mean, as a team, as a a fraternity in that locker room.
Yes, he did. Everybody did. The coaches, the players. Coach Jim Goostree, who was our head trainer, would do a little dance for us, and and all that kind of stuff. And so, everybody partook. It was a very, very big celebration, and one of those traditions as a player that you kind of hold on to.
I mean, just the photos, because there's been some historic photos of just players post locker room that I remember. Just seeing you guys all celebrate, and it's a tradition of that continue today. I love the uniqueness of that one.
Well, in our era, as well as I think Coach Saban's era, you don't see a lot of kind of frivolous celebration very often. You're excited that you won and you've gotten through that game, and now it's moving. You're moving on to another week. But something about that Tennessee victory makes everybody little kids for a little while again. So it is different. It makes it special.
Hey, Bill, let me ask you about your thoughts on this current team. When you look at this Alabama football team, we've talked about it for weeks. We had you on, a couple of weeks ago, but another week down, another couple of weeks down, and this team continues to progress and be the best team in college football. Just your thoughts on this team.
Well, I said earlier in the year that I thought that we had a chance to see possibly the greatest offensive team in Alabama history this year, and I still surely believe that in the way of as far as what I think we're going to end up with in victories and that kind of thing. But I will say this, Ryan, I think we have a great football team, but I don't even think we're close to as great as we can be on offense, and here's why I say that. We have a great starting quarterback as well as a great second-team guy. Our starting quarterback has some unique abilities to stay calm under pressure, and he's had a lot of pressure. We have not done a great job, as good as we can do of protecting him. But he's still able to make it happen when everything's kind of crumbling around him. And we have great wide receivers that can catch the ball, and we have great running backs that we still haven't really seen dominate a game yet because they haven't had to dominate a game. We got 4 or 5 of those, and then our offensive line, I still say they're not even close to as good as they will be at the end just because I really believe that we're still playing primarily off to one side of our line, utilizing the talent maybe over there, and not with so much inexperience on the other side. So I just think we have a lot of room for improvement. Now, not that we can't do that. I don't think it's a matter of anybody being superior physically to us. Maybe experience-wise as a group, as on, you know, another team may be, and we have a hurt, and you know, we've let a couple of teams score some points, even though later in the game, but score some points. So I think we're going to have to continue to score, 40 points a game or so until we get through this next few games of our schedule. But all that being said, I think we have a fantastic, great football team, but I think we've also got some really serious challenges coming ahead really quick.
Well, I mean, Bill, you think about it. Look at it like this, because I still think our offensive line, I think we can get more out of those guys. I want to see them,
right,
maybe get a little bit better push in run
right,
blocking.
Right.
Our kicker has not performed up to maybe Bama standard.
Right.
We've got a punter that needs to work out some kinks and kind of get some confidence back. I mean, really, you have to go back and ask yourself. I mean, you're 7-0. You're the best team in college football. I mean, what's this team going to like when they clean up all these mistakes?
Yeah, exactly. And we have some just unbelievable talent running around on that field. I mean, I've never seen, and I don't think you've ever seen, Alabama with that many wide receivers or tight ends, all that can catch the ball like that. And we've got a whole group of them, and we got a guy who can get it to them. So we got a lot of special components already, and I think we still got a lot of stuff that can become special as the year goes on. But like I said, what we've got coming up in the way of tests is pretty stout. So I think we'll find out who we really are.
Hey, Bill, let me go into another quick question here. 100% chance of rain in Knoxville on Saturday. Is there a rain game in your career at the University of Alabama that you remember playing in? I mean, what's the challenges of playing in the rain? Do you like it? Is there a game that sticks out as far as a memory?
I remember us, not that I played very much, but I remember us playing LSU down in Baton Rouge. It was a really, real bad mud hole. But I mean, being an offensive lineman, and I never had any. I don't think I've ever played in any really, really bad rain games. But back in those days, we were playing on turf a lot, so I never mind playing in the rain. Being a lineman, it was always a little cooler and maybe a little bit more fun, But of course, we ran the ball, and that was, we could stay on the ground and run the wishbone and not have to worry about anything else. Right now, we're depending quite a bit on the pass, so I don't know how that affects our offense, but we'll have to get some movement in order to run the ball for sure.
Yeah, it's a 100% chance of rain. Bill, let me ask you just any direction you want to go, just in college football outside of Alabama. Maybe what's been the biggest surprise to you, and you can go positive, you can go negative, anywhere you want to go in college football. Just give you the flexibility there.
Well, I was surprised that Georgia lost last week, or when I guess it was last week.
Yep, LSU.
I'm not real surprised, but kind of pleased to see Kentucky doing what they're doing, so that there's some other people in the East maybe. I think Florida's doing some good things also, and so I think the East is right now it's kind of a toss-up, and as far as the West goes, obviously where I'm at with that, but once again, I know that a bad Tennessee game, even a bad Tennessee team in Knoxville, can be a problem. And a good LSU team in Baton Rouge is also can be a serious problem. And Auburn will play us like they've never even thought about losing a game. So what we've got left is some real challenges as far as our team goes. But, like I said, I guess Kentucky may be a surprise to me, and then probably Florida too. But I still think Georgia ends up. And, the biggest surprise to me, Ryan, it's not a team or that, but it's the way that I watch young guys now it's almost becoming free agency. If you don't like what's going on, you just transfer schools. And I understand that from a player perspective, wanting to, but then I feel like that this is old school thinking and probably not popular. But then I start thinking about loyalty and team, and do you really ever really understand what all that means? If every time something doesn't go your way, you just jump ship, and I guess that's why I have a lot of respect for Jalen, because he very rightly could have jumped ship this year, knowing that he could go somewhere and probably play as a starter. But for whatever reason, I like to think integrity, he didn't, and he stayed, and he's playing out his time and doing what he said he would do. And then he'll make a decision then. But that surprises me more than anything, is that there is no loyalty anymore among players for their teams. And that's probably my biggest surprise.
Bill, where are you going to watch the game on Saturday, man? You going to watch it at home? You going to have a possible victory cigar ready?
Yep. I plan on it. Yeah, I'm just going to probably stay at home and with family and friend and watch the game. I always, like I said, it's Tennessee week. It's a special week, man, for all Alabama people and all Alabama former players. And it's very important to us, and very important that we win the game Saturday.
No doubt. Hey, Bill, it's great to be able to catch up with you, man. I continue to pray for you, my friend, daily, and we are going to beat this together, man. We're gonna whip this thing, and appreciate your friendship, man. And I thank you so much for helping us preserve Alabama history here on the game.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. Roll Tide, beat the Vols.